Now I've really made it difficult for myself for today's video because my flowers are already cut really short. So if you want to see what I can do with these short stem flowers, then stick with me for the whole video. So good afternoon and welcome back to the third video in this series. I've got the same container and the same choice of flowers, and this is design number 3, so my flowers are now really quite short. What I've done with my foam, you might be able to see already, is that I've raised it above the container. Now that gives me the ability to arrange flowers at the side rather than just the top section like I did in the 2 previous videos. So I'm thinking that I'm going to try and make it look like my flowers are being poured out of my container. Think about flowers sitting on the top and then the jug being tipped forward and the flowers would be cascading out of the front. Who knows if it's going to work, but we're going to have a really good go. So I'm going to start with the longer pieces of my greenery. So this was the Spirea. I haven't added any more greenery to my selection of flowers, but I do have extra Spirea and I do have a little bit of extra Eucalyptus here as well. But I'm going to try and make it look like the greenery here is pouring out of my jug. Does that make sense? I hope it does. And then when I display it at the end, I'm going to try and do something a bit clever or a bit novelty to stand it up so it looks like it's pouring forward. I've no idea whether I'm going to achieve it, but we're going to have a really good go. So that's my greenery all sort of cascading forward where the lip of the jug would be, just like it would be if we were pouring water out. And I'm going to start with the softer, oh, that one's a little bit snapped, but not to worry. I'm going to start with the softer flowers that would almost look like the water or the milk or whatever tumbling out of my jug. I'm limited with the stem length because they've been in a previous arrangement, but I'm going to try and get them so they look like they're flowing over the edge. And that's pretty much the longest I can get. Couple more in there. I've got 2 more of the blue colour left, which I'll add in somewhere else in the arrangement so that the colour is brought all the way through. But if we tip it forward, does that give the idea? Do you understand? Who knows? But I think I know what I'm doing. So with the shorter pieces of eucalyptus that were in the previous design, I'm just going to tuck them in around the outside. But this time I'm going to use them as single leaves because I don't want to go too wide. I want to keep it quite neat and controlled, almost like I'm grouping the material together. So we're going to create a bit of a frill, and as well it will show you how you can use eucalyptus as single leaves and show you that you don't always have to put them in on a full stem with several leaves on the stem. So if you've got different types of greenery, you might have heuchera in your garden, you might have large ivy leaves, you could do the same with that type of greenery. And it gives you this really pretty frill. I'll just add a few more in. Pretty little frill around the outside, almost like petals of a flower. So that's what it's looking like so far. This is going to be a heavier concentration, based down quite low, with the greenery cascading and tipping forward. Right, let's go with my next flower. I'm thinking that it's slightly facing forward, so we'll make use of the shape that I've accidentally created. And now I'm going to use my bigger flowers, but this time grouped towards the front. I've got a few of the Phlomis that are still a little longer. I'm going to remove the greenery just so that it makes the design neater and not too cluttered. But I'm going to add some of these to the outside edge so that that yellow colour is also coming towards the edge. And then with the shorter pieces that I've got left, I'm going to group them. That one almost looks like a little Catherine wheel that you would have when you're having fireworks. So what I've done here is I've grouped them really closely together. So I'm making a larger placement with all of the flowers together, rather than spreading them all out in that more traditional manner that we did in the two previous arrangements. This one's not quite sitting where I would like it to go. Ideally, I could have done with a bit of a longer stem, but I'm going to persevere. So the flowers are slightly draping over the front, and then we've got this concentration here of the colour towards the front. This is what we call grouping. Now I can put these big, open, blown roses, this very unique sort of style of rose, in a bit of a cluster here on one side, and then that leaves me enough room to put a group here at the front with the Gerbera. So if I hold it forward for you, you can see I've still got a fair amount of foam showing here, but that is going to be almost hidden by these small little peonies. So, oh, they're not a peony, they're a small little Gerbera. This sort of exercise that I'm doing with you today is really to show you that you don't always need really long stems of flowers to create a pretty design. You might have flowers from the garden that have been damaged by the wind or the rain, and you're not really quite sure what to do with them. So this is just a little bit of fun to show you how you can use them when they are quite short. And look at that one, 2 inches, that's all that is really. And that's going to tuck in there. So I've got a nice little clustered section there. You're looking at the front, and then this bigger section of flowers is on the top. I'm going to tuck in a little blue flower underneath here. I was going to carry the colour through onto the opposite side, but I can see a gap under there. So I'm going to make use of that in that gap, and I'm going to extend the colour a little bit further out to the side. And then with the gap that I've got left, I'm not going to introduce any more flowers, but I am going to just put the greenery in there that I used previously. So I'm going to cut down the remainder of the eucalyptus, just really to cover that gap there. And I have got one of the taller pieces of Phlomis that I used in the very first design, and hopefully that will be enough to completely cover my floral foam there on the side and that top section. So don't forget, if you're really enjoying what you see, then please subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, comment in the box below, let me know where you're watching from, what you enjoy, what you don't like watching, because that really helps me plan videos for the future. And if you want to hit that notification bell, then you will be told every time I upload a new tutorial. As always, thanks for watching, and goodbye for now.